This is where you're already fucking wrong, Isaac. You're already starting at an awful position. An awful, awful position to start is a cost of living. When the cost of living is directly and entirely correlated with the... You'll probably not like this if you see it, but the capitalist system, which is commodified housing.
This is the U.S. intelligence agency, mind control.
Okay, maybe not everybody, but the March for Australia is planned on the 31st of August. Now, what this is, the way it has been told, is it is a giant protest for the values that Australians hold dear. Now, a lot of people agree with it. A lot of people disagree with it. There is a distinct line in the sand. There are people who absolutely hate Australia, that think this is the worst thing that's ever happened, and there's people who like Australia, love Australia, that think this is absolutely amazing. And I think where everyone should be is somewhere...
Hang on. There are people who hate Australia who are against it. Okay, so you hate Australia if you're against it? Already sensing this may not be the correct bias, guy. Maybe reevaluate it.
Well, this is why I put him on the list. This is why I added him to the list of people who are pushing this, talking about how this is a Nazi rally. Now, before we go on, I just want to add some context to this. This is the March for Australia. This is the official account who made a statement about the Nazis apparently trying to co-opt this. So they say, recent claims have been made by various groups attempting to take ownership of the March for Australia or attach their own agendas to it. We wish to make it clear that the organisers are not members of nor acting on behalf of any other group in particular. Recent claims by Thomas Sowell, a Nazi, and of White Australia are not reflective of the organisers nor the politics of March for Australia. We are not associated with their organisation. Additional claims that we are associated with Israel, Jewish or Palestinian movements or organisations are also unfounded and untrue. The March for Australia began as a grassroots organic effort to unite Australians around a common cause, ending mass migration. We respect the foundations and recognise that our cause finds support from Australians from a diverse range of political backgrounds. Any attempt to hijack March for Australia for any other issues or to make it about any one group are not in the spirit of the movement we have taken custody of. We will assemble peacefully to defend our flag, our people, and defend an end to mass migration. Now, did anybody hear an explicit Nazis are not welcome? Or did they say Nazis
will be here, but they're not running the rally?
Yeah, they're not running it, but they'll be there, and we respect their ideas. That's really what we're going with here? That's the statement you're gonna make? Okay. All right. Here it is. So, this is their flyer. Australia, it's time to rise. It's time to take our country back. It's time to defend our way of life. It's time to defend our culture. Stop mass immigration now. Bring your friends, bring your bag, family, and bring your flag. No foreign flags. It's time to put Australia first. What does that sound like? When have we heard this narrative before? Anyway, this is Thomas Sowell. This is the National Socialist Network. More Nazis. I'll go to March for Australia. I'll go to members. Hey, they finally did it. They finally removed him as a moderator. Incredible. Finally, they did it. This guy is a fucking Nazi. But they have finally removed this Nazi from being a moderator on their page. I have a friend that runs Facebook pages, and I asked him, how do you become an admin on a Facebook page? The March for Australia would have had to confirm him as an admin, which means they are aware of who this guy is and still made him an admin. And they want to tell me and everybody else that they're not working directly in conjunction with fucking Nazis? All right.
Let's go straight to the source, the website for March for Australia. They say this: for years, Australia's unity and shared values have been eroded by policies and movements that divide us. Our streets have seen growing displays of anti-Australian hatred, foreign conflicts.
You may not be a racist for attending.
whilst
You're
mass
just
migration has
okay with
torn
racism. You're okay with racist existing, so you may not be a racist, and you may say, I'm not a racist, I have black friends. But you're okay with people who don't want to have black friends. Okay?
at the bonds that held our communities together. This march is a stand for the people, culture, and nation that built Australia, and for our right to decide its future. Now, honestly, looking at that sounds pretty good. I actually feel quite a lot of shame when it comes to how much hatred there is for our country in our country. I know people get a bit weirded out and they feel it's a bit cringe when you say left and right, but I think this is devolving into a left versus right thing where you have to agree with each cult. It's not a good way to look at this, okay? We should be patriotic. We should love this country. It's an awesome fucking country. They go on the website to say no foreign flags. I think that's a weird one. I think it'd be great to see a sea of foreign flags in this march. That would really represent the true Australia. And an end to mass migration. Now,
It's funny that he understands, yet he's trying his hardest to support this.
It's just funny in general.
let's start this very complex conversation with a very important statement. Migration, who comes into this country and who doesn't, should have nothing to do with race, the colour of your skin, or where you're from. Obviously, there's some places we shouldn't be accepting people at all. If they're extremely violent, hate-filled places, then yeah, sure, don't allow those people in. But for the most part, colour of skin, nothing to do with it. This just isn't a race thing, and that's an obvious thing to say. But the way that a lot of people are arguing against this march, and
Hey, did you forget that Australia had a white supremacist immigration policy until the 70s?
I have
And
to.
you aren't acknowledging this and therefore aren't understanding that this is backlash to people romanticizing a history in Australia which was extremely fucking violent towards specifically non-white people. And now why would people have a natural response of repulsion from Nazi rhetoric? I really wonder, Isaac. You know, the world you grew up in is dead.
politics out of it.
And that statement, the world you grew up in is dead, is exactly the kind of romanticization that needs to stop. Let it lie, right? You can't be focusing on this imaginary idea of mass immigration. Like, it literally isn't happening. The only reason you think it's happening is because Australia has had 40 years of an open immigration policy after 75 years of a white supremacist policy.
Well, also, so this is also what I put in the intro, where I was like, maybe you're Charlie Kirk and like to cite things that black people commit more crimes. But if you look at exoneration detail, what it actually shows is they're accused of more crimes. They're only interested in one side. So it's only entries. It's never deportations. How many people get citizenship every year?
In America?
Anywhere, you know? It's going to be a lot lower than the fucking entries.
Yes, and this is another thing that I tried to tell people is like they were crying because Anthony Albanese went to a citizenship ceremony and they're like, oh my god, end mass migration now. Like, shut the fuck up. It takes 5 fucking years to get to the point of citizenship after a permanent visa. Chances are these people have been in Australia for over a decade before getting citizenship. So to call it mass migration when it takes 10 fucking years to get your citizenship is functionally retarded. Like, you are doing it to yourself. And it's this, and I just want to go back to what the point I was making before. Like, 75 years of a white supremacist immigration policy called the White Australia Policy during a time of which child separation was one of the premier Aboriginal policies in Australia. This time period has resulted in a romanticization of what Australia was based around white Australian culture. It's dead. It's not coming back. The vibe is still there. The fact that people aren't white all the time does not matter. You are being overexposed to the fundamental base building block of fascism, which is we lost something and we need to regain it for the country. Avoid this at all costs.
Take the left or right out of it. It's an awesome place to be. So if you come here, you should learn the language, you should learn the history, you should learn the culture, you should be a part of the white Australian culture, the Aboriginal culture, all that.
I completely agree. You should learn the history, like the 75 years of genocide.
I'll tell you where to start.
1775 is when you should start, or 1788. Whenever the fuck they landed in Botany Bay.
Shit, right? We should
like the first encounter of the British and the Aboriginals, they shot them.
be happy, beautiful, awesome, great. And not that I should have to say this, but anyone who's against mass migration or immigrants based on skin color is a piece of shit, and fuck them. Here's the reason I think that mass migration is terrible and why I am against it, okay? We talk about the cost of living all the fucking time. It's the cat's cry.
This is where you're already fucking wrong, Isaac. You're already starting at an awful position. An awful, awful position to start is a cost of living. When the cost of living is directly and entirely correlated with the... You'll probably not like this if you see it, but the capitalist system, which is commodified housing. It's got nothing to do with immigrants coming to this country. It's got everything to do with people like fucking Peter Dutton, who have 26 houses of which they extract wealth into their own fucking pocket. And you want to ask why housing is expensive? Maybe it's the politicians sitting on housing portfolios profiting off the fucking housing crisis. Maybe it's that. Or you can blame brown people from fucking India. Are you dumb?
On the news. We also talk about in Australia.
It's like one of the fucking Australian news is they fucking were talking about Bernie Sanders, and they're like, Bernie Sanders, the socialist with 3 houses, right? So that suddenly property is bad.
Just be consistent. Also, how about we talk about people... Hold on. How many houses does Gina Reinhardt own? Multiple properties, several houses. The exact number is not known. She owns a cluster of properties in Perth, Dalkeith, including 3 houses and adjacent blocks, a strip of land, and an empty block listed for $9 million.
How many empty houses are in Australia?
2001, the Australian Bureau of Statistics counted 1 million unoccupied dwellings in Australia, representing 10% of all private dwellings.
How many
statistics,
How many people
Isaac.
are homeless in Australia?
120,000 people.
Wow, blows your mind.
Incredible.
Isn't that interesting? It doesn't seem like there's a housing shortage.
Wow, that's
What is the government doing by building all these houses?
Yeah, why are they building all these houses? Oh my God, there's a housing crisis. It's almost like housing is a commodity and that's why it's expensive. It's almost like it has absolutely nothing to do with fucking migrants.
A lot and all over the world.
We should...
About the issue that is housing. Housing prices are absolutely through the roof.
Maybe the property prices are going up because every fucking idiot wants to live in a capital city, and Australia's public planning is so fucking dumb that they have one major city in every single fucking state. Just one. Queensland, because it's bigger, maybe has 3. I think they have like Gold Coast, Brisbane, and Cairns. Townsville too, 4 big towns. Sure, it's a long state, but you could easily turn... I don't know, Sale over in eastern Victoria. Here is Victoria. Now let's do some numbers. So population of Victoria, 7 million people. Population of Greater Melbourne, 5.3 million, meaning 1.7, maybe a 20th? 20%? 20% of the population lives in the entirety of the state. And then the majority of them live in this little white area here. From Frankston down here all the way over to, I believe Geelong is not counted as Greater Melbourne, so I think it might end in Werribee. From there all the way up to, I think, Craigieburn up here, down to Frankston down here, and out to like Lilydale here. That is the Greater Melbourne area. This is where the majority of people live. When you have this tiny little bit of land, right? Tiny little bit of land surrounding a bay, and 5.5 million people want to live there. And rich people hold a large number of properties, and there are also a large number of vacant properties and vacant lots all through Melbourne. And you want to blame migrants for this. when there is so clearly and obviously an explainable reason for why the housing crisis exists in Australia, and it's got nothing to do with migrants. You could maybe put some blame on Chinese property buyers who buy from overseas and extract the wealth out of the country. You could maybe criticize that at a stretch, and that is a very, very small occurrence. BlackRock, Airbnb are another major cause of the housing problems. You can see this in the United States, you can see it in Australia, you can see it all over the world. On top of that, people like Gina Reinhardt, politicians, the average number of houses owned by politicians in Australia is over 2 per person. And you want to tell me that migrants are to blame for the fucking housing crisis? Are you kidding? The politicians are literally benefiting from our struggling to live. But sure, let's blame the brown people and the yellows and the browns and the blacks. Like, what the fuck? Get a grip. So fucking sick of this narrative.
Astronomic, particularly in the cities. And the reason for that is because there's fucking too many people not being born, but coming into the country. And yes, there are some people that may point out the very true fact that my ancestors were immigrants into this country. The immigrants that came to this country over the past, 50, 60, 70 years. We're talking Italians after the Second World War. We're talking Jewish people after the Second World War. Those people came here in similar circumstances to a lot of people that come here now, maybe war-torn countries, whatever. It was a different time. There was rooms. In 2022 to 2023, that financial year, 536,000 people migrated to Australia, 500,000 people. That dropped the year after to 446,000. And over the past year or so, it's been around the 500,000 mark. Now, the problem with that is all those people who have turned up here legally, they need to live somewhere. They need to buy a house. A lot of these people aren't just migrating, they've got no money and they're seeking a...
Hi, Isaac. I'm just going to do something real quick. Let's look up Australian replacement rate. Okay, so I was going to look up the immigration numbers versus the births and deaths. It seems like the replacement rate at the moment is 2.1, but it's going down to 1.6, they reckon. Anyway, the migration numbers will replace those numbers that we aren't replacing ourselves. There really isn't a concern about migration or population. This idea that this fuck off where full nationalist mentality has been
Silly.
around since the 1990s.
Silly.
Like this, I would not be surprised if I looked into it. Probably comes from the reduction and removal of the white Australia
also
policy.
he mentioned Italy after World War II. You know what that period was called?
Deconstruction or something.
No, hang on. Let me look up the specific word. Okay.
Asylum. No, these are people with money.
In my
They've got
head-
jobs and they're looking to...
In my head, it was basically this. I just may have been it more Spanish sounding in my head because I'm more familiar with Spanish than Italian. But it's, and excuse me if this is pronounced wrong, Italians. Anni di Paimbo. So Anni, A-N-N-I, obviously años, year, D, that's going to be a subject of like the,
Year
of, on, in, something like that.
Is
So
it years
it's
of lead?
the years of lead. Those people who flooded after World War II were actually communists and shit. Those were the socialists and the minorities from Italy and the anarchists and shit. People who didn't want to live underneath the nationalist state.
That was after World War II?
Yeah, Years of Lead is after World War II.
I thought it was before.
No. 1968 to 1988.
Okay. Of course, the Neo-Fascist Party was in power. The fucking...
It's always been in power.
The one that Georgia Maloney's connected to. That's right, the Tricolour Flame guys, yeah.
Move somewhere else. Look,
This is
also,
the Years of Lead do happen at like way past World War II, but like basically anyone of that political left faction in the 50s and 60s was leaving Italy. So the Years of Lead come about with basically the remainder from the mass migration there. Anyone of privilege was able to actually leave, and it wasn't the fascists who were in power. You don't leave. Like, imagine a diehard MAGA supporter leaving the country
America.
now.
I also kind of want to target this at him because I don't, it seems like he's just uninformed almost.
Well, that's
like,
the...
it just seems like it's
that's the issue with
blatant,
romanticism.
And this is like the blatant...
pop history
issue.
and thing.
Yes. So it's like I kind of want to target him because I feel like if he just hears someone that isn't screeching, it might get through to him. Maybe. But like he's pretty much his entire content stream is trans people, leftists, and politics. So it's like, it might be a bit difficult. It might not be able to be done with one video. I don't know. I want to keep this kind of bullshit out of Australia. And the way that the Liberals go about it is not a good way to do it. And the fascist messaging is far, far more attractive than the Liberal screeching.
Did Australia build over the past few years? Well, if you look at 2023 to 2024,
one of the room names here
168,000 even though we were aiming for 240,000 homes. Now, if you look at the 500,000 people that came here during that year, let's imagine hypothetically that they are all couples. There's still not enough homes for all of those people, even slightly.
Like, there's so much information you're just overlooking entirely to come to this conclusion.
I don't need to share this.
As I mentioned before, like the births and deaths, people are selling houses, there's rental markets, most people coming here by immigration aren't buying a property. They're not rich enough to do that. The only people that are coming here to buy properties are people from places like China and India and Europe and America. Fucking American celebrities own houses.
If those people from those countries, China and India specifically, remember how I was saying earlier about the Italians and why they fled that country? You think the influx of migrants from those two populations might have something to do with their governments?
Couldn't possibly. There's no way.
Now you have to
nationalist.
Get these people to understand that China is a fascist government. Oh, good luck with that one. They're literally a socialist party.
Yeah, it says communist in the name.
And not to mention all of the Australians that live here anyway, that are looking to buy a home.
It's like that's almost like fascism normally appears under like one specific strongman.
Crazy,
right? And like even Mao was much different than fascism, arguably more destructive than fascism specifically. Not Nazism, but fascism.
Yes, fascism, yes. Big capital F fascism.
What's the F for?
You know.
All the people that live here, meaning, oh my God, here's the fucking problem. There's too many fucking people. 36 years old. That is the age in which you are probably going to buy your first home on average, right? In this financial year, 2025, 34-year-olds were the most...
You think this home buyer problem exists in basically every country right now?
Yeah.
You think it might have something to do with, I don't know, like post-World War II?
No, of course, capitalism, that can't have anything to do with it. Mass property profiles designed to extract wealth, no way. It's obviously the Browns.
Single year of age in Australia.
Look, Jack,
412,000
South Vietnam were clearly the good guys.
That average age of buying a home. That's another 400,000 people looking to buy a home in that year, plus the 500,000 people coming into the country. You're looking at almost 1 million people for, 160,000 fucking homes?
Did he just count the migrants as the statistic? I need to go back and hear what he said there.
412,000 people in 2 years. The most populous single year of age in Australia. 412,000 people in 2 years. They're going to hit that average age of buying a home. That's another 400,000 people looking to buy a home in that year, plus the 500,000 people coming into the country. You're looking at almost 1 million people for 160,000 fucking homes. This is the problem. It's simple.
How many people coming into the country?
It was 500,000 in 2023. He's using the 500,000 number, except he also mentioned
but was that
dropped by
crossings
100,000 the next year. No, that's migration. So that's in the country. That's entries.
So how many of these people were then deported?
Or how many of these people then left?
And
right? And then also,
let's just pretend that like he's correct now that migrants do take up housing and make it more expensive. How many of those migrants? What happened to the houses they were in after they were deported? How many were deported? What happened to those houses? If they were taking up housing and were deported, what happened to the housing? So since this, what was it, 2021? What's the big year? 23. So the big post-COVID year that allowed migration back in, where every country spiked. Okay, so the deportation since then.
Okay, so actually, here's a statistic. Same year that he's using, the 500,000, same year, 221,000 migrant departures from Australia.
Wow. So half of those houses that they took have to be available, right? So as long as the next 2 years don't equal that, then they had to have been open. You think last year it was above 200,000?
It was 400,000 in the next year.
For crossings. Oh, well, there we go. They took all the houses again.
Also, they actually made it even harder to migrate to Australia this year. So on top of, they made it harder after the 500,000.
I thought Anthony Elbows was a lib.
Hold on.
Don't tell me to hold on when I'm trying to do one-liner jokes.
The year that he's quoting, they made it harder to migrate. The numbers dropped by 100,000. They made it even harder again, which means the numbers are going to drop again, making this entire march completely and utterly feckless yet again, on top of the fact that it's using Nazi rhetoric and debunked bullshit Nazi narrative.
I'm just saying, unite the right.
Is supply and demand. The supply is fuck all. The demand is fucking high. Therefore, if you
what do you mean the supply is fuck all? 1 million vacant homes. Even if it's 500,000 immigrants coming in, that's only half the vacant homes. Mm-hmm. How does this work?
There are 183,000 deaths per year in Australia as well. So you have to take that into account too. People dying and their kids selling their houses.
Okay.
Right?
To the migrants.
To the migrants. I see. This is the problem, right? End mass migration.
40s run over brothel in the middle of Sydney. It's going to cost.
And
did somebody say death?
People sell
death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF. Death to the IDF.
Why would you do this, Greg?
Death to the IDF.
Wow. I hope that anti-Semite has a heart attack.
Cost you 2 million.
I lost the fucking point now.
40s run over brothel in the middle of Sydney. It's going to cost you two.
It's easier to watch. It's more entertaining.
Yes, the deaths. So people are getting houses through inheritance. They're getting houses through inheritance and then selling it because the economy is so fucked.
So what do you want to tax inheritance?
No.
Fucking communist.
They're selling their houses instead of keeping them and living in them because one, the poorer in the country, so the non-political class. Because let's be real here, it's a double-tiered society. There's the political class and then there's everybody else. The political class can keep their houses and hand them down to their kids because they have 10 of them and they can afford to run them and don't need to sell them. Where if I was to inherit this house, chances are I would have to sell it because I couldn't upkeep the house and therefore I lose an entire asset because I can't afford to live at this time. How many people do you think are in this same situation? I'm going to say a fucking lot of people. So on top of that, on top of the housing crisis, you don't have people living because they have to sell houses that they inherited for money to continue living just to live. Like, this is a real problem and you are overlooking all of this, Isaac.
$2 million fucking dollars. We are not looking after the people who already fucking live here. And that is the problem. And guess what? The people who live here aren't just white people. We're talking about all different ethnicities, all different colors, all different looks. Right.
But you're literally crying about these literal people coming in and buying houses. Like, how can you speak out of both sides of your goddamn mouth when you're saying migrants are to blame, but the migrants that are already here have no contribution to the problem, which means that the migrants coming here also have no contribution to the fucking problem. Where's the logic?
Right? We're talking about fat people, skinny people, Asian people, black people, white people. We're talking about everybody. They cannot afford a house in this fucking country because you're letting too many people in. And guess what? Half of the people that come in here are white.
If you are going to ask people about mass immigration who talk about mass immigration and you actually grill them on it, I guarantee that they would be okay with quote-unquote Western countries, i.e. white people, coming into the country, but don't want people from places like Afghanistan or Syria or Iran or whatever country you want to pick. I guarantee that they will not want those people in the country. I can almost 100% 100% guarantee this as a rule. So you can make this argument all you want, but it's just not reality.
Brain herself, Abbie Chatfield, for a calm, concise look at why a march against mass migration is a terrible, terrible thing. $5 a month. You can join our Patreon.
Join ours
I
instead.
didn't want to talk about this because I didn't want to bring attention to it, but it's now getting attention, so it's time to fucking talk about it and condemn it. On the 31st of August,
I think I sent you this video.
I
there
didn't
is
see
going to
only
be
news.
a nationwide protest for the racists and the xenophobes of Australia to get together and march for Australia. Winning Australia back, taking Australia back from whom? No one knows.
I think what a lot of people are referring to there is the way that Australia seems to have changed quite a bit. And loses a bit of itself, because Australia is known for being laid back, jovial, we're fucking around, having a beer, and that's changed a lot.
Yeah, fucking around, having a beer, committing genocide, casual shit.
And that's not necessarily always a bad thing, but
Systemic child separation policies to civilize the blacks. Yeah, that's just fucking around, layback culture. Just sink a beer, bro. We're all good. We don't have to face this culture at all. We don't have to face this history at all to actually come forward as a country. No, there's definitely no division here because people romanticize a racist, white supremacist, genocidal Australia. No, this definitely doesn't happen.
if you look at, let's say that Australia brings in 50,000 Americans next year, just good old-fashioned Americans, you would think, oh, well, we're losing a bit of Australia there. Like, these guys aren't Australians. Like, that they don't understand the sort of the way we act with each other, the way we talk, the way we joke, the accent, all that type of stuff, and we lose a bit of that. But when you conflate losing Australia and bringing it back with skin colour, that's where people start to lose the fucking plot with.
Seems right to me.
50%.
Where's he wrong, though?
More. 50% more of our history is genocide than it hasn't been. 50%. We have another 25 years before we can claim that we have had more history not genocide than genocide since the formation of the country in 1900, the official founding of the Federation of Australia. And that's not even including the 130 years before that, which the British were coming here and slaughtering Aboriginal people. That's not including that. So, you know, they're really, and this is the problem with people like Isaac, is they either don't know or they intentionally ignore the history of Australia and play it up exactly as he just said, that it's like, oh, this laid back, sink a beer, fucking around with your mates kind of thing. It's just like, sure, that is an aspect of Australian culture, but it's not the only aspect. It's not the only thing. This is just the soft power that the Australian government wants to push, and you are pushing it for them. The government also wants to push this whole gun control thing as like being good as well. Like, this is another narrative of Australia that tries to get people to be like, oh, Australia is a cool place. Like, this is just a part of their soft power. But you know what you don't hear about? Child separation policies. The only people that bring it up is the fucking Chinese bots in an effort to downplay Xinjiang.
This conversation, and it all becomes about race, which I just don't think it is. For some people, it is. And they are racists, and they are pieces of shit, and they're not included in my conversation here. They are not. That is not the way I think about
But
this.
those people will be at the
so
rally,
I understand
right?
where Abbie's coming.
Yeah. And as I showed before,
And
the
the
March for
and the
Australia-
fascist will be there too? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Just checking. Now that we're clear.
Who are we talking about? What are we going to lose? I think a new culture has taken over, and they've lost a lot of the English culture. So I think people are worried about that,
Good.
and I think rightfully so. And I think even though you may think that's a racist,
Oh,
that
no,
has
my
racist
culture.
undertones, go to a country that's majority not white. Go to India, right? If Indian people had an influx of very Australian people, they would be worrying about losing Indian culture. And I think that would happen absolutely anywhere. It's sort of a very natural thing to worry.
In India? Yeah, it would, because they're fascist. Not a great example.
About.
This is nothing but disgusting, terrifying rally. And for any immigrants
Mate, I don't know. Maybe. I don't really think so.
that
Anyway,
follow
what
me
was that
or
skull
are
on
gonna
his
see
wall?
this video, please,
I don't really think so.
that
It just looks like a water buffalo.
You got those?
prince.
Mate, I don't know.
Yeah, we have feral ones, actually.
Okay. Just checking. I wanted to be sure that it was a specific Australian animal that he's mounting. You
Well, I'm
wouldn't
not
be
sure if
wanting
it's even
some
a real skull.
immigrant animal.
Maybe. I don't really think so.
That follow me or are going to see this video, please fucking know you are welcome. And I know that doesn't feel like it. I know that this country does not make it fucking easy for you. But please know that you are
I don't know.
welcome.
I think that I hope people who are brown and black and every other color, I hope that you feel welcome in Australia. You should. I try and make everybody feel welcome. But, you know, you're going to run into wankers, no doubt. But I don't know. Is it that bad? Is it really that? Let me know.
If you don't feel welcome. Just checking for my research.
March for Australia does. You know, they said that we respect all people. We respect all ideologies and people of different ideas.
White skin, let me know in the comment section where you are.
They're not running it, but they'll be there, so don't worry.
Are you a honky? Let me know
in the comment section if you do face this shit, because you shouldn't.
Should be condemned by every fucking Australian. Like, every Australian should realise that that is just xenophobia and racism. Unnecessarily. We know that the problems that we have in this country, like cost of living, are not because of immigrants coming to this country.
Yeah, I agree. Not so much cost of living.
Oh, damn, we almost had him.
Well, no, I this is hypocritical. I'm still going to criticize him for this because cost of living, like the housing crisis is included in the cost of living. Like, what are you fucking talking about? Rent and mortgage is the cost of living. You just spent 10 minutes arguing how migrants are the cause of the fucking housing crisis, and then you say, oh, well, no, migrants aren't the cause of the housing, of the cost of living crisis. What? That doesn't track, my dude.
Pick a lane.
Like she's making points that you can't refute, which is why you're backtracking now.
I think that's just got a lot to do with fucking price gouging and supermarkets.
Oh my God.
Being a monopoly and all that type of stuff. I know people say it's a duopoly, not really.
Oh my God.
So exactly what she was saying.
Oh my God.
Capitalism is the reason.
Oh my God.
You just said.
Oh my God.
Yet you are making an,
oh
an
my
argument
God.
against her. Jesus Christ.
Bro, you know, this is the meme, right? Because we always ask people for sources and they immediately debunk themselves. Yeah. So he does this whole fucking dumbass rant for 10 minutes and then goes to the TikTok, immediately is like, they got a point.
It is easier to blame people that are below you than it is to try and fight upwards, right?
I don't think that immigrants and people with brown skin and black skin are below me, but go on.
Right? So these people...
But you're cool with people who do think that, just to be clear, because you're promoting a rally that welcomes those people.
Go, I have issues in my life. Oh, the cost of living is really high. It must be these immigrants. These people below me because I feel bigger and more tough than them because I'm a white person. I know that in
what are you talking
society,
about?
I can punch down on immigrants because I perceive them as weaker than I am.
See, this is the part that all the chuds were freaking out about because she's like, oh, immigrants, I can punch down at people lower than me. They're like, she's talking down to them, saying that they're lower. But it's so obvious what she's doing here and how disingenuous these people are because, like, she's literally explaining the mentality of Nazis. But they think that they're applying the mentality of Nazis onto her to try and gaslight people into believing that she thinks that she's above people. But she's just explaining how in society there is a hierarchy of suffering. White people are at the top, and then the people who suffer the most are at the bottom. And that's what she's talking about. Like, I don't understand why this is so hard for people like this to understand.
Immigrants are not brown people. Okay, this idea that all immigrants are brown people is ridiculous. Okay, and it completely takes.
And this is just being semantic and pedantic and purposefully misunderstanding what she's saying just to try.
Okay, Ben Shapiro.
Away from the whole conversation. So let's look at the numbers, shall we? 2023, 2024, there were some.
This is really the point you're going with. I'm going to skip this because this is not relevant.
We're talking currently living in Australia, well over a couple of million white people that weren't born here, that are affecting the ability to buy houses from people who were born here. But maybe not a majority. Right in there. They're certainly not a minority. It is white people. We're talking currently living in Australia, well over a couple of million white people that weren't born here, that are affecting the ability to buy houses from people who...
No, they aren't. They literally are not.
So he's like, listen, I also hate white people.
Who were born here. That doesn't mean that they're bad people. But it certainly means that migrants aren't black and aren't brown and aren't white. It's a mix. And that is the problem. We need to bring the mix down from everybody. Don't just only let white people in. Definitely not what I'm saying. Just bring it all down. Look up.
No, the issue is that you don't understand the fucking problem. The issue is that you are currently displaying an unreal level of Dunning-Kruger effect. That's what's happening here. You, a comedian, by the way, because you asked who this was.
Oh,
who is this guy?
Fucking bro. Oh my god, comedians. I loved. Do you saw Andrew Santino making fun of all the other guys who went political?
Yes. Yeah. Australia's most controversial comedian is how he brands himself. So
Politics isn't funny.
Yeah, it can be funny. Right-wing politics isn't funny.
I mean,
they take themselves too seriously.
Trump is hilarious, but...
Well, that's because fascists are a meme.
Yeah, I mean, that's why South Park was funny the last few episodes.
After the people that were born in this country, that live here, that
can tell you right
already
now,
exist here. Look after them first.
Because of my place of privilege
better than
in this country that is on
any Friendly Jordy's video I've seen, because I can actually understand what he's saying.
Him?
My brain actually has a chance to process what he's saying.
It is not my place to welcome all of you because I'm not Aboriginal. I'm not First Nations.
Abbie, come on. There's no way you believe that you have to.
She is pretty cringe. That was pretty cringe.
Yeah.
That was a pretty cringe thing to say.
What?
Hang on, I need to check my privilege.
Lib. Yeah, this is what I mean by fucking libs being cringe.
Libs just libbing it up again.
Person to welcome people to Australia.
Who live in this country do not agree with this shit. They don't fucking agree with it.
Yeah, right. Most people don't agree with the fucking what you're saying is like, okay. Most people in this country do agree with you that it is not okay to be racist. And I think the vast majority of people...
Yeah, and that's why the majority of people rejected the populist fascist parties from the House of Representatives. Why do you think the split went mostly to Labour? Because everybody stopped voting for third parties because they were pushing Americanisms. And that's all this fucking protest is. This protest is just an extension of fascists crying about immigration into white countries around the world, Isaac. You have literally covered this. I know for a fact that you follow the Indian spam account Inevitable West. And that account does nothing but post about European Great Replacement Theory. And they are also posting about this fucking rally. Now, Isaac, if all the people posting about this fucking rally are fascists, what does that say about you? If you are at a table with Nazis, nobody gives a fuck what your opinion is. You are just a Nazi. It's that simple. So you need to be aware of the people who are around you. If you are, like you are saying, proclaiming that you do not support Nazis, they cannot be allowed to come to the rally. The statement, as I read at the start of the video, does not tell them to fuck off. It says they're welcome to come to the rally, which means that it is a Nazi rally. Whether you like it or not. That is how it will be portrayed, that is how it will be seen, and that is how it will be told in history. You cannot partner with Nazis.
But that's not the reality of most logically thinking human beings, the good people in this country, the people we should be looking after. So to say that everybody that would ever...
You mean the same people who you are complaining about earlier, crying about COVID and the country locking down? Those people? Those same people who you spent years criticizing? Those people? Now that they benefit your argument, you're on their side? Okay.
What's funny is if you talk to a lot of... Like, if you go to this rally and you ask people, are you a collectivist or an individualist? What do you think they're going to say to you?
Most will say individualist.
Yeah. But is this not a collectivist idea?
It is. Collective action.
Like they're talking about, we're putting Australia first. Sounds like you're a collectivist.
It's pretty funny. Do you want me to go? I'll fucking go.
No.
I'll film it. I'll fucking go and question people.
Unless you can do your, if you can go there like the Good Liar You
is
know
that?
that. Let's watch a Good Liars video after this.
I might even spot Blair Cottrell and Thomas Sowell there. They're Victorian Nazis. I'm sure they'll rock up.
Is to maybe admit that our system is pretty fucked, and maybe those in power who have power over us have much more control than they ever realised, right?
What, like the Prime Minister you put on your podcast? Anyway, yeah, Abbie goes on, she yells, she screams.
Got her.
About the skilled migrants that do come into this country. Unfortunately, the skills aren't the ones that we need. Right now, we need fucking builders to build more fucking houses. But migrants
No, you don't.
In Australia hold 26% of jobs. That's 5.3 million jobs in this country. The top industries are
31% of the country is migrants. You fucking idiot. It's literally underrepresented. Shut the fuck up.
employing
Also,
migrants.
What do you think they maybe if you're like, okay, going to take a stance against Armenia because they send so much money back home, maybe if you're going to take that stance that it doesn't actually stimulate the economy because they're sending the money back home, like that would be a really good argument for a lot of like the migrant farmers in America.
You
but
could
that's
definitely make that
way
argument.
too intelligent for someone like in this fucking thought process to actually say.
It would require actual thinking.
Well, it would also require acknowledging that anyone having a job is beneficial to everyone because of economic stimulation. It's strange how a lot of these mega accounts end up being from India and stuff, huh?
3 million jobs in this country.
It's a grift.
It's almost like, no, it's almost like it's beneficial to the BJP to
Top
radicalize other society and get them to also like the Prime Minister of India.
Employing migrants are admin and support services. That's 14%. Healthcare and social assistance. That's 12%. And accommodation.
Why do you think the biggest
services.
freak out on tariffs yet was over India? Because that was
like Indians
like
were freaking out?
People inside like Trump's core being mad at tariffs. It was the India ones that happened
Really?
around Russia, and it's two reasons why that was. Because
Gone.
Russia and India are big in the fucking megaverse. Like,
Yeah, okay.
there's so much coordinated and authentic behavior coming from those people. I love the underrepresented percentage you threw out there. That was a smart way to go about it.
Yeah. Literally 25% of population, 31% of 31.5% of the total population. So they're literally underrepresented in the job market.
That's 11%.
Which you could argue that 6.5% of migrants that are living not working are draining the system. You could make that argument if you really wanted to. I'm not going to make that argument because I don't give a fuck. But you could. But at this point, they should do more to make migrants work, if anything.
One thing that Abbie did talk about that I need to address is that a lot of the people involved in these rallies or these protests or these marches will actually be Nazis. Now, there is a guy called Thomas Sowell who is like a Nazi, nationalist, socialist, fucking mad person. And those guys had that rally in Melbourne in the middle of the night the other week. They marched down the street all covered in black.
They've been doing it in the middle of the night so they don't get beat the fuck up. Literal cowards.
And
they've been hiding for a little bit. And this march, I have a feeling that this march is going to be their big "we're back" rally. Kind of think Unite the Right, Charlottesville. I'm expecting.
Well, that's why I've been making
something
Unite
along
the
those
Right
lines.
jokes.
Yeah,
You think they'll bring tiki torches?
Certainly look like they were on the government's payroll. And that's another thing you got to be careful of here. People are looking at laws to bring in. To stop
they're
protests.
feds. You hear
That's
that?
Not a good.
Of course they're feds. Everyone's a fed.
The Nazis are
literally heard
feds.
that- Yeah, I heard that on.
They're
Twitter when
only
I
here
was
to make us look
cataloging
bad. Okay, then why don't you tell them they can't come then?
Exactly. If they show up,
If you're acknowledging they're feds that are there to make you look bad, tell them to fuck off.
Yeah, like you can say this all you want, but your actions prove that what you're saying is pure rhetoric. Like, you don't actually believe this, because if you weren't just talking in rhetoric, you'd be advising people be hostile to Nazis. Like, Nazis only show up when hostility towards Nazis fades. Like, if they pop up and they put up a table, burn that shit. Burn it. Like, they are not welcome in public. They should not be welcome in public, and they should never be welcomed in public.
Even though the people who are saying that's not a good thing, a lot of them were very much against people protesting during a certain thing that happened 5 years ago. And whatever.
Hey, Isaac.
Hey, was that the protest I just mentioned where people did
No.
sig heils?
No. This was during COVID. The police using overwhelming violence to suppress like a group of 20 people who decided to protest. There's lots of police violence during COVID. And this is the thing,
Well,
right?
that's
This is
how
the
else
thing.
do you get the attention of the Chinese government?
Well, this is the thing that I try and get through to people is that, before the Victoria Police got weaponized into a militarized anti-riot squad, they were still doing police violence during protests, but nobody fucking whinged because it was against left-wing people. Right? But, oh, look, now people protesting COVID come out and the predictably Victoria Police commit mass systemic violence, and then the left wing starts cheering it on. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Stop cheering this on. This is police violence, you psychos. And now these idiots are fucking cheering on police violence against the other side. How about we don't cheer on police violence? How about we don't cheer on the weaponization of Victoria Police? That'd be fucking great. But instead, you're just doing a little whataboutism. Oh, but you supported this. It doesn't fucking matter, dickhead. It should be opposed, period. It doesn't matter who the police's baton is against. If the police's baton is against somebody, it can go against you. And if you can't see that, I've got serious questions about your intelligence.
People who probably are sympathizers with those people, that they might be being a part of it. And that's not good. That's not a good thing. Not that I should have to say that I don't agree with them, but I definitely don't agree with them.
Actually, no,
But you're
Isaac.
okay with them coming.
Okay. No, you shouldn't not have to say it. You should reinforce that Nazis are not welcome. It's not a, you don't say this because it shouldn't need to be said. It needs to be said, especially right now when fascism is coming back.
One thing I have seen, though, is there's a guy called Rukshan who works with Yemini, and seems like a nice guy.
Okay.
Nazi?
Okay.
BJP Nazi?
Worse. The guy on the left, ex-IDF soldier. Works for Rebel News.
Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death!
The guy on the right has an incredibly traceable track record of working with these exact fucking Nazis that are claiming that this rally is theirs, and the Nazis that they haven't told that they aren't welcome, and is more than happy to rub shoulders with the Nazis. Just for context of who these people are.
I've never...
Both of these people are on my list for pushing this rally, by the way.
met him, but he said, I'm a proud Australian looking forward to marching at the end of the month. And he had a lot of people go on there and say, hey, you're not Australian, yada, yada, yada. And so there is this faction.
Wow, you mean the brown guy who has been helping the Nazis the whole time? Actually, they don't like him and they just use him because it benefits them?
Wow, he's a regular
we have never
Vivek
seen
Ramaswamy,
this
huh?
This has never happened ever in history with Nazis and fascists before. No, we've never, ever, ever seen that. Not in America, not in the UK, not in Australia, never.
Of genuine racist pieces of shit that are going to be a part of this.
But isn't it also funny how an Indian man says, I'm Australian, and then the people who would likely go to this rally go, no, you're not. Isn't that funny? It's almost like what people are saying is probably true.
And that's not good. That's not the people that you want fighting, any conversation.
Congratulations. You made a coherent point. Now all you need to do is get the March for Australia to say, you aren't welcome, Nazis. It's not that hard of a statement. They spent all that time typing out that big message to say Nazis are welcome. How about just 6 words? Nazis, you are not welcome, cunts. How about that? 6 words, 1 statement. You're not welcome. They already removed the Nazi from being a Facebook moderator. Clearly they're pushing away from it, even though they're definitely not. But they've already done that. So why can't they say Nazis aren't welcome at the rally? Don't you think that's a bit strange, Isaac?
with government. Those type of people break down these arguments and just make it so easy for people who disagree with you, or for governments or powers that be to go, no, you're a racist. Just
But
like
they're
these
also
pieces of
feds,
shit.
right?
So that's not good at all.
Didn't he already say that these people are feds?
Yep, they're feds.
Oh,
of course
okay.
they're feds.
So now it's
Australia,
not only are
Facebook.
they just feds, but
They're feds posting comments under Rukshan's posts specifically to let them know and to reinforce that this actually is a Nazi rally, not a grassroots movement. It's actually totally just like normal Australians who definitely aren't terminally online and have connection to people who have done nothing but whinge about COVID since 2023. Yeah, no, these people definitely have no connection to the fascist propaganda out of Russia. They're definitely not co-opted by that. If you asked any one of these people who's in the right in Russia and Ukraine, they definitely would say Ukraine. They would definitely recognize that Russia invaded Ukraine and not blame NATO and Nazis for it. No, it definitely wouldn't happen. There's definitely no crossover here between all of these disinformation threads and information warfare to culminate into this mass immigration protest that has absolutely no similarities between Tommy Robinson, Russia's favorite Nazi, and American MAGA populism. No, there's definitely no connection whatsoever. We should just completely look at this in a vacuum and, there's nothing else surrounding this whatsoever. That's why we spent 40 minutes doing absolutely nothing.
Page came out and said that recent claims have been made by various groups attempting to take ownership for the March for Australia or attach their own agendas to it. We wish to make it clear that these organisers are not
Let's see if he reads the part where they say Nazis are welcome.
members, nor acting on behalf or any other group in particular. Recent claims
Notice how I didn't clip out sections just to read. I showed the whole picture.
by Thomas Sewell of White Australia, like what a are not reflective of the organisers nor politics of March for Australia. We are not associated with their organisation. Additional claims that we're associated with the Israeli, Jewish or Palestinian movements and organisations are unfounded and are untrue. They say it's a grassroots, organic effort to unite Australia around a common cause, ending mass migration. That's the main one. So they've basically just said it's all bullshit.
He didn't read it. He didn't keep going. Fucking incredible. Look, Isaac.
remember
Right
when you
here.
said, we probably won't care about these last 5 minutes?
We respect those foundations and recognise that our cause finds support from Australians from a diverse range of political backgrounds. That is not a denunciation of Nazis, Isaac. Why did you stop reading? Is there a reason you stopped reading?
Ending
Well, he
mass,
put it on the screen at
migration.
least.
That's the main one. So they've basically just said
look.
it's all bullshit.
There was more to that statement, yet you don't bring it up in the next 2 minutes until the end of the video. Why did you do that, Isaac?
So, ladies and gentlemen,
You clearly read the rest of it, so why didn't you say it? 1 second, I'll do it for you. Okay. Ending mass immigration. We respect those foundations and recognise that our cause finds support from Australians from a diverse range of political backgrounds. Any attempts to hijack the March for Australia for other issues or attempt to make it about any other group are not in the spirit of the movement that we have taken custody of. We will assemble peacefully to defend our flag, our people, and demand an end to mass immigration. There is no Nazis fuck off there, Isaac. In fact...
Wait, what was that part about custody?
It says any other issues or to make it about any one group are not in the spirit of the movement that we have taken custody of.
What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Who'd you take custody of it from?
That's a good question.
gentlemen, I don't know. Calling for the
That's a really good point that I overlooked.
I was like, wait, that's a weird word. Wait,
Jesus
they
fucking
did?
Christ.
Hang on. Did they remove that Nazi moderator before or after this statement came out?
After.
So
Because
after
I
what?
looked
Sequence of
after
events.
Okay, they posted this. I saw it. Then I double-checked the Facebook, and he was still there. It's only been removed between yesterday and today.
Because I don't want to make the assumption that it might have been planned by him, and they had to kick him out of the organization, and they're now saying we're taking custody of it.
Okay, so this was posted by them, the March for Australia page, on the 12th of August.
I'm just saying
he was
it
a
would be a
moderator
more
up
obvious
until-
if he was removed first, but they could have always removed him in post after the decision was made to like they like kick him out and then they're like, oh, we better remove him from a group in post. I'm just saying that's a big insinuation, kind of defamatory. I'm just asking questions is all. You know what I'm saying?
Just asking
You
questions.
know, like is he one of the guys that's they taken custody of it from? What does that mean? I need some clarification on the word custody from this group. You know, and I'm not saying anything defamatory here. I'm just saying, you know, trying to figure out what you mean exactly by that.
I think we should be more patriotic. I think we should be a better Australia that welcomes everybody but puts our own country and everyone in it, regardless of the colour of their skin, first.
Okay, but like, just for a final point here, Isaac, I know for a fact that you are a capitalist and you want to put Australia first, yet the Australian government literally puts Australia last in favor of corporations who rape the country and extract the wealth at zero tax dollars. There are companies out of Western Australia who are extracting gas to sell overseas with no profit for Australia. Nothing. Not a single fucking cent is given to Australia. 100% profit to the company. That's just one company. Now, you've also got people like Gina Rinehart, who is a billionaire, a mining magnate and a billionaire, also trying to get in on this nuclear trend. That doesn't benefit Australians. That's not putting Australia first. Gina Rinehart owning nuclear makes it worse. There's 2 points. You are a capitalist. So, as I said before, you've blamed migrants for the housing problems, but the housing problem is directly caused by capitalism, as Abbie Chatfield said in her video where she decided to do some cringe lib shit. It's like,
let me check my privilege. I have to acknowledge I live on stolen land.
so it's like, I just don't understand how you come to these conclusions. You clearly didn't research anything. This is all off the top of your head. Yet everything that we've spoken about in this video points to the single problem being unfettered capitalism in this country. It's killing us, my dude. It is literally killing us. Now, I know that you have, a 2.2 million subscriber channel. You tour the world doing comedy, making a lot of money. Doesn't impact you. You know who it does impact? Everybody else. Everybody else who isn't making millions of dollars off YouTube and comedy. So you can sit here online making this grandstand about how you need to be more patriotic. In order to be patriotic, you need to come to terms with the fact that this country has a fucked up history. A patently and absurdly fucked up history. We need to do 3 things before anybody can truly be patriotic of this country. 1, separate from the Commonwealth. 2, come to terms with and accept our history and try and attempt to do something to fucking rectify it. It doesn't necessarily need to be like giving them fucking land or giving them whatever or giving them houses for free or whatever capitalists might be mad of. Get the fuck over it. They are 3% of the population. And then 3, every single politician who's sworn allegiance, and this is kind of nationalist, but every politician who's sworn allegiance to the British crown can never hold office in Australia again. You've sworn allegiance to a foreign power, you shouldn't be able to represent us. Also, the way that Australian politicians have represented us is not by representing us. It's by representing their own interests and their donors' interests. They don't give a fuck about us. They're the 3 things that Australia needs to do before we can consider anybody to be patriotic. If you are considering yourself an Australian patriot and you don't accept or don't come to terms with the history of this country, you are nothing but a nationalist. You are a romantic nationalist. It is the base, core, root part of fascism, is imagining some imaginary lost thing from a society that we need to regain. You need to stop it.
Through the years, America has stood as the world symbol for law and order. Anarchy, well, that was something that was always happening in other countries. Newsworthy, perhaps, but it could never happen here. The policeman on the corner has traditionally been looked upon as a friend, not as the instrument of a tyrant. People in other countries had just reasons to riot against their governments. The nations of the world are dictatorships in one form or another.